and Radio 1700.
This show is made available by ID Cyber Center, a leader in identity theft protection and monitoring.
Against all odds, trod until tomorrow. Wipe away your tears and your sorrow. Sunrise in the sky, like an arrow. No need to worry, no need to cry. Light up your mind, no longer be blind. Him who searches will find. Leave your problems behind. You will shine like a fire in the sky. What's the reason we're alive?
Now, live in studio is one of America's forerunners in consumer protection, with 20 years of experience in finance, debt, credit, and cybersecurity. A pioneer in new technology and advocate for justice. Your host, Eran Sinai.
Happy Monday, everyone. Eran Sinai here in studio. Great to be back. I have been away for a little, and it seems like Hanish was doing a good job. Nobody really missed me, but that's how we are.
I just had to give the disclaimer that I'm not a cybersecurity expert. I didn't have any custom-picked songs out.
You did.
But welcome back. I mean, you don't even seem like
you.
you're jet-lagged or anything.
You know, I didn't have time to jet lag.
Okay.
I left the day after to Austin, and I just got back. And seriously, though, I wake up in the morning, and he texts me a second. And I'm thinking, wait, where am I?
Which country, time zone am I in?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Literally, I woke up today, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, that doesn't look like my mother's house in Israel, because that's where I stay. It's getting me. But anyway, very happy to be here because we have some really great guests. We have my good old friend, accountant. It's the first one that I dumped all my file on when I came to the States, right? I had the mess in New York, not in a bad way, but the accountant in New York didn't want to do anything. Gave it to Reuven, Rubinson, and ended up with, a few hundred pages tax return. And a few days later, it was all done. And ever since, I stuck with him. Oh, he stuck with me. So welcome, Reuven, Rubinson. Good to have you.
Good to be here.
I can share the same story.
Yeah,
Same thing. I had a mess. I dumped it on him. He came back 2 weeks later, figured it out. I'm like, that was incredible. So he's the go-to problem solver guy you need to get to.
So I'm happy. It's a small world. We were talking about it before the show. It's you. It's realtors that we know together. It's people that we all connected. It's a tax accountant that we work together. It's a small world, It's a really small world. So I'm happy to be part of it. And we have a special out-of-towner guest. And it's a good old friend. And his name is Randy Plaice. Randy, welcome to San Diego.
Thanks so much, my friend. Appreciate it.
Randy is a broker with RE/MAX Realty in Santa Clarita, which, if you guys don't know, it's north of LA. And as I'm traveling again this weekend to Santa Barbara this weekend, actually Thursday for meetings, I'm going to be passing through Santa Clarita, kind of.
That's kind of where Six Flags is.
That's right.
Right? So that's kind of your mile marker.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah.
That's the exit that I take to see Randy, Six Flags.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So welcome to the studio. And hidden behind with Randy is Jessica.
Oh, yeah.
That is hiding behind there. So you guys can probably see her. So happy to have you all. We have a lot to talk about. But first, there's a meeting going on downtown.
Yeah.
What's
yes.
that?
The council is reviewing Mayor Faulkner's plans for short-term vacation rentals, and it's been going on all day, I think at 11:30, and they're still doing public testimony 6 hours later.
What's the plan? Quick, short?
Well, the mayor is saying, you get to vacation rental your own house, the bedrooms you've got or while you're on vacation, and an extra property. And so, people are against it are saying, hey, I could sell my 2-year-old son a house, and then he can own a vacation rental, and then my 5-year-old could own one, and then, pretty much everyone in my family could have one. I could still end up having 20 of them. Or even as a company, same thing. You just can deed one to your secretary and then one for your accountant. So people that are against it don't want it, and people that want it, it's because they have a business interest in running a business.
Can I ask you what's your opinion?
I just don't think businesses should be run in a residential neighborhood. I live in a residential neighborhood to have residents, not tourists and visitors coming in and out every other week.
And that's you talking not as a realtor who's, obviously selling houses is good for investors because they can make it an Airbnb. So that's you talking personally and not as a realtor, but that's your real true opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fun to have tourists come by and visit, and I live on the beach, and it's cool to interact with them on the beach. But when I'm at my house, I want my neighbor to be the person I could borrow some coffee from, not the person I need to tell them to quiet down because it's 4 p.m. and they want to have a party.
What do you think, Randy?
I would agree. I think we all have multiple hats, either that as fathers, as homemakers, or what have you, or brokers in my case. And I think that depending on which hat you're wearing, your perspective might be a little bit different. Like, I agree with that too. As a father, I absolutely don't want just randoms coming in and out of my neighborhood either. There's a security concern. My kids are teens. I want to be mindful of all these kinds of things. Having said that, I can also see the business aspects of it and the benefits of potentially monetizing those properties and that kind of stuff. It does help the real estate market. It does help other things by having that additional draw to the market. But I think my father hat's probably going to win out on this one. I probably would really err. At least 65% of me says, yeah, I'm with him on the
yeah. What do you think, Reuven? What's your?
It's a catch-22. I mean, you say as a realtor, you got one thing you like to get investors, but it also brings down the price. The price of houses in the market.
Does it or does it not, though?
A lot of times it does, because it's not as nice a neighborhood to move into. If there are parties and everything else, it's kind of like it takes away from the neighborhood feel, and not as many people. I mean, do you want to move on a block where half the houses are short-term rentals?
Well, that's only been happening. It's gone up by about 400% in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you might have moved into a neighborhood 10 years ago where you knew all 10 of your neighbors.
Right.
I've had this happen. Now 5 of them are vacation rentals. So you're like, I bought a house in a neighborhood. Now I've got mostly tourists here.
Right. So my point is, okay, so now now you want to sell your house. Do you think you're going to get more or less for that house because half of them are vacation rentals?
It's tough to see how that plays out. For example, New York and San Francisco banned it, and housing prices shot through the roof because that just allowed more people to move in. But how prices are high there anyway, so it's hard to attribute what part of it factors into it's good as a rental yield for a vacation rental, and it's good just because it's in downtown San Francisco and everyone makes $300,000 a year there.
Yeah.
So, good point. I mean, I'm sure the Airbnb guys are rooting all the way for Mayor Faulkner, right?
Well, they've paid that too, right?
Of course, I didn't want to say that, but it's kind of thinking about it. I'm like, no, of course, right?
You follow the money, you can see the reasoning,
right?
Because unanimously across the city, so there's 42 planning groups in the city, all of them have opposed vacation rentals, and then the Central Community Planners Committee have voted against it too. So pretty much, unanimously with residents groups, no one wants the vacation rentals.
Yeah, and I'm sure the San Diego, the group that we here,
Safe San Diego
neighborhoods are probably really making a lot of noise.
Well, one of their groups just got a big amount of funding from the hotel lobby groups to put some advertising out and stuff. Because you just got to make the right amount of noise. Because if you don't live in a coastal area where you're impacted by this, you don't understand. You don't understand if you're in Scripps Ranch or Rancho Bernardo. Like, I like vacation rentals. Like next week, I'm going to use one. I'm renting a room in someone's house at Lake Tahoe. I'm not renting the whole house. That's kind of the original goal was rent out an extra bedroom. Yeah, and you can do it. But
I can see any way it goes. But I'm gonna jump. You guys have been watching World Cup.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I'm a big. Was that okay for you? Do you want France or Croatia? What do you think? I don't know.
I thought that was. I was in France in the World Cup in '98.
You did. Okay.
Perfect. So that was what a coincidence.
Are you any fans? Are you guys? No.
After you, Reuven.
Nope.
No.
Okay. I didn't watch it. I'm not a soccer fan.
Okay.
I watched it. I thought it was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I love soccer.
I was preoccupied by the LeBron talk. So.
Yeah. Randy is a big Lakers fan.
Awesome.
He's always there. I see him always posting in the games. Like,
very cool.
Do you ever work? But anyway, by the way, talking about France, that today in 1429, Joan of Arc, the French army, entered the city of Reims. I don't know. Doesn't matter, but it's like funny how France just win the World Cup and maybe they planned it in Joan of Arc. I have no idea. But anyway, so just came back from Austin, really hot, and it's such a difference. Let me tell you, coming to San Diego, it's amazing. And talking about San Diego, do you know me with trivia? Do you know that today in 1902, the first air conditioner, the first modern style electric air conditioner was installed in Brooklyn, New York? And I thought about that because Reuven is from Brooklyn. And I thought about the weather. Aren't you from
New Rochelle.
Oh, New Rochelle. Never mind.
Close enough.
Okay. Close enough. Okay. Anyway, so we have a lot to talk about. We haven't even started. So have you guys heard of the movie, what's it called? This new movie with Ocean 8. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's with
Okay.
the ladies.
Yeah, there's some very expensive necklaces being stolen from this famous actress, kind of corn artist kind of a thing.
Yep.
So not to compare, but there was quite a con artist that stole Demi Moore's American Express. Now here's the interesting thing. They called it in to say that it was lost. They had enough information to say it's lost, as if they're calling on her behalf, to then order a new card to a different address. So that's how much information they had on her. You can imagine that. They ordered a new card, spent rampaging $169,000. And obviously, you know, when you're a star and you spend so much money, American Express doesn't really flag it or company, right?
Yeah.
And basically, then they were trying to sell everything and make the money. Unlucky for them, she saw it right away, called the police, and they actually caught the guy.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That never happens.
Yeah, it doesn't, right? So, which makes me think about, I mean, you're talking about Demi Moore, right? They must have, doesn't American Express going to ask you for security questions and for you to change the address so they mail the card to a different address? That's insane if you think about it. It's absolutely unreal.
Right.
So, looking at credit card fraud last year, and before that, so $16 billion were unrecovered in credit card fraud. Who pays that? Who pays all of that?
I'm sure it's passed into the interest and fees.
Sure.
That's
The
exactly
credit
the
card
thing.
companies are still making money, I'm sure.
That's exactly right. Credit card companies do not take the liability.
Yep.
It's the merchants. Because someone's going to pay for the product. I bought shoes, you know, size 14 for Demi Moore,
Yep.
right? Right. And then the merchant, the bank is not paying for it.
Right.
Someone's got to pay for the shoes. Someone's going to get stuck with it. And guess who ends up flipping the bill? It's us.
Yeah.
Sure.
Credit cards rates go up. Everything goes up. You know, no wonder credit card rates are so high. Beside the default rate is going higher and higher now, but as we've been seeing.
Yep.
But which brings me to using credit card versus debit cards. Do you ever thought about the difference? What's the difference between using credit card and debit card
Oh.
as far as liability?
Absolutely. I would never use a debit card.
Okay. Same. Okay. Let me tell you legally, okay? And not giving you legal advice here or anything, right? But I'm just going to tell you that the law, when it comes to the Fair Credit Billing Act, which means that if someone fraudulently uses your credit card, your liability legally could be only up to $50. Okay? $50. Now listen to that. In sharp contrast, debit cards are regulated by the Electronic Transfer Fund Transfer Act. The extent of your liability when depends on when you notice the loss legally. Okay, so if it is 2 days or less, the liability is limited to $50. Between 2 days and 60 days, your liability increases to $500. Okay, and anything beyond 60 days, you could be liable for the entire amount.
Wow.
So, and now it affecting you financially. So,
Yep.
you know, people don't know that.
Yep.
They think, oh, don't worry about it. But debit card is not only that, but it is a pain in you know what to get the money back.
Yeah.
Because it's coming out of your account.
It's gone
now you
then.
have to send fax to the bank
Yep.
to testify, to do whatever to just get the money back. When in your credit card, it's really easy, relatively speaking, right? So, you know, want to encourage you guys to remember that when you travel, when you do things like that, it is important to know that you want to use credit card and not debit
Well,
card.
they have so many travel benefits too, right? Travel insurance,
Absolutely.
purchase protection, extended warranty, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of benefits that
Right.
a lot of people don't know about. with
That's
their
right.
credit cards.
So when you apply for a credit card, you definitely want to check annual fees, of course, interest rates, and you want to check, depends. If you travel a lot, you may want to deal with something that gives you mileage. There are some that give you cash back. There are all kinds of benefits. So you want to check which credit card works the best for you. And it's really amazing when I looked at report. It takes victims of credit card fraud sometimes several months. The average is over 3 months to find out that you had a fraud on your credit card. Can you believe that?
Wow.
So the maximum liability if it's debit card.
That's exactly right.
Over the 60 days.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, that's unreal because, I mean, I check my credit card and my bank account, every day or two.
But you're a Reuven. I mean,
Okay.
come on.
True. I might
Right.
check once a month. Best case.
You check it every day, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every day or two, yeah.
Once a month?
Yeah.
Okay, so $500 liability if it was a debit card.
Yeah.
Beside the
I
fact
don't
that the
catch
money's out
something.
of your account,
Right.
right?
And, then getting it back takes time, whereas with a credit card, usually they'll issue a temporary credit,
That's correct.
and money doesn't come out of your pocket. It may reduce your credit limit a little bit, but you're not hurting. Whereas if you only have enough money in your bank account to pay the rent and someone takes $500 and that's frozen,
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
That's right. Very important. So it's really important that you check your credit card annually for every errors as well.
Now, annually?
Annually
Daily.
as well. Daily, that's beside the point. But when you get the end of the year statement, make sure review that. See if I know sometimes some people have so many transactions. So then, if not daily, make sure that monthly you go over it to check your statements. And look,
Yeah, because if you don't report it within, I believe it's 60 days, then you may lose your rights to.
that's correct. To
do a
dispute even on a
chargeback.
credit, that's exactly right. And there's issues of liability and warranties and all that kind of stuff. Also, remember that luxury purchases are often a red flag on credit card companies. So it depends how your shopping habits are, and you can go online and change where you go, where you are, in what state you are. I know that definitely you would have to notify in a different country.
I got busted. My card was stolen about a year ago, and they called me up immediately. Like, Hanish, we just froze your card. Have you been shopping at McDonald's? They're like, I don't shop and go to grocery. That's what flagged them, was that they knew I never went to McDonald's,
Yeah.
and then they ran a charge at McDonald's.
It is amazing.
And I will say that I know that certain banks, like Chase in particular, when I would travel, and prior to this conversation, I actually would have probably gone the debit route because I was trying to avoid the interest rate game and all of that. So I think that's really important what you said. But I know that they would reach out to me numerous times and they would say, I saw this. So that's why I'd have to give them the travel advice or the heads up about any travel, even out of the city, because they were constantly flagging things and constantly just texting me, asking me if this transaction was this or that.
Now, it's true that when you use your credit card, people travel a lot for business or whatnot. So your balances increases, therefore your credit score decreases. I get that. Only one solution for that. If you are self-employed and you have your own company, get a credit card to your company when you are the guarantor. Not a joint, but a guarantor, which then means that you personally will not report on your personal credit or only on your company file with whoever they have the file with, but it won't report on your personal credit unless you default on the card completely. Even if you're late, it's not going to be on your card, on your personal credit, which is a huge thing, and you won't feel the balances. So if at all possible, get a credit card that you co-sign for your business. Not a joint, but co-sign. Big difference. Yes.
Two comments. Number one, with all the online banking, online shopping, and everyone else going to all these places, I know Capital One, I believe Citibank has it, where they make virtual credit card numbers, where they issue a dummy credit card that can be used only by one merchant. So if they have the hacking like they did Home Depot or any of these places, and they get your number, it's useless because it can be only used at one store.
Good tip. Never heard of that one.
Very good tip. And and there's a lot of things. I mean, I want to talk more about because of the shopping online, for example. And I didn't prepare you, Reuven, for that. But here's the thing.
Okay.
We do a lot of online shopping. We'll talk about it after the break. But we do a lot of online shopping. And when you do tax returns, you ask, have you purchased things outside of California? Right? Am I correct?
Yep.
Right. So I want to talk, when we come back, what are the effects of, like, what do I need to know? Why does it really matter? Okay, so I shop on Amazon. Do I have to tell my Reuven that I shop on Amazon all the time? I buy stuff online from other states, from China, from whatever. Do I really need to declare that? Also, I want to talk about, we have a lot to talk about blockchain and Bitcoin. How does that get into our accounting here? And there's some big changes that they're trying to fix a broken credit reporting system. Lots to talk about, but we got to go pay some bills. So we're going to take a break. Be right back. Eran Sinai here, Randy Plaice, Hanish Polikal, and Reuven Rubinson. Don't go anywhere.
I had a friend, was a big baseball
Hi, I'm Eran Sinai. Stay tuned at 5 p.m. for the latest in finance, credit, and consumer protection, turning the news into common sense. Tune in to my new show, Common Sense with Eran Sinai, today at 5 p.m. on ESPN 1700.
$143 million Americans had their information exposed in the credit bureau Equifax data breach. Your personal information is out there waiting to be hijacked. Identity theft not only damages your credit, but can cost you your reputation thousands of dollars and take you years to resolve. Don't be vulnerable. ID Cyber Center monitors your credit, social security number, even your social media. If your identity is stolen, ID Cyber Center helps you recover your identity so you can live life with ease. In today's world, being without identity protection and recovery is as if you are driving without auto insurance. Visit idcybercenter.com today to learn more. Again, visit idcybercenter.com. Get protected.
Real estate brokers, are you looking to close more loans, earn more commission, and help your clients? Well, connect with Balboa Commercial Real Estate. Balboa CRE helps San Diego brokers close more CRE loans for good borrowers, from retail to industrial, office to mixed use, and multifamily properties. Balboa CRE helps real estate brokers close their purchase and refinance loans from $250,000 up to $3 million. Visit balboacre.com to learn more about our common sense approach.
The new rock star of today is not a guitar player or a drummer in a band. It's Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and Mark Cuban. The new rock star is a business rock star.
Weekday afternoons at 3, tune into Business Rock Stars on ESPN 1700.
We're here to inspire, inform, and connect a community of entrepreneurs. I'm Alex Worley. This is Business Rock Stars.
Weekday afternoons at 3 on ESPN 1700.
The Center of Social Studies and of Public Opinion of the House of Representatives convenes to the 8th edition of the CESOP Prize. There will be a 275,000 pesos prize to distribute among the winners. Participate with your investigation of public opinion subjects, social studies, and regional development. You have until August 31st, 2018. Get more information at the website diputados.gob.mx/CESOP. House of Representatives, 63rd Legislature.
Your news is now available in your area. Log into yournews.com to see all the breaking local, national, and international news brought to one place. Yournews.com.
Everyone knows you deserve an easier path. That's why, with the new reforms,
30 seconds.
They'll work to put an end to the labor discrimination toward women. If you feel discriminated against, report it. House of Representatives. For Mexico. 63rd Legislature.
Welcome back.
It's getting near dawn.
I bet you missed my music, didn't you?
Yes. Jeff did a good job. He picked some good stuff for me.
Yeah, Jeff does, because
he's like on the fly.
He is. He's awesome. So I choose my music very carefully to the show, right? I try to tie it to the date and topics, right? So I love Cream. That's Cream in the background. And believe it or not, today in 1966, Eric Clapton, Jack Bruce, Ginger Baker formed the supergroup called Cream. So the song is called Sunshine of Your Love, obviously, if you know that song. Reason I picked it because Pete Brown, when he wrote this opening, he's been up all night. Him and Bruce, Jack Bruce, been up all night, and they came up with it. And when they were interviewed after about the song, they said only good things happen when you're up all night working, and the best result. And you know why I thought about it? Because every time, especially tax season. And then after tax season, it's corporate tax season. And after corporate tax season, you have to get to tax season again. So there's no break. And every time you text Reuven, I don't have time. I'm working, and it's like you see him on Facebook in the middle of the night. He's doing tax returns, or is that so? I don't know. I thought about this song in Reuven working all night.
Well, hold on. We work hard and we play hard.
That's right.
I do a lot of work, but I volunteer at most of the theaters in town and go to a lot of concerts. I was at 4 concerts in 10 days over at the Symphony. Clint Black, Megan Hilty, Arturo Sandoval.
That's right.
And Rick Springfield. Where can you get that type of entertainment and quality?
True.
It's San Diego. It's amazing.
It is. Yep. It is. So, talking about that, I want to, by the way, before we jump into anything, so we had an interesting conversation. I got to bring it up. Something as mundane and crazy as you would ever think. Batteries. Right? We're talking about batteries. I don't know you guys, and we talked about it, but none of us knew that. Most people probably don't even think about recycling the batteries because they just, whatever. But there is a law about it.
You can't throw away batteries. It's against the law. The landfill prohibits it since 2006.
Really?
So, especially since I've got kids, we're going through a huge amount of AA and AAA batteries. Sure. I buy the 48 packs, and then they show up, and then I burn through them, and then I keep them responsibly in a bag so I can kind of aggregate them and then recycle them properly. So Best Buy and Staples and other electronics store take batteries, but only lithium or rechargeable ones. So then all the other ones that aren't, because those work better, because you don't want rechargeable batteries for your kids' toys because they'll run out every half hour. There's only 2 places in all of San Diego to return them. One's at the border and one's at USD. Otherwise, you have to pay a company up to $60 to recycle 10 pounds of batteries.
Damn! That is crazy. Let me tell you. So basically, you can only dump your batteries in 2 places. One is by the border and one is by
USD. Yeah.
And if you want to recycle your batteries, then you have to pay $60 a month for a company that it'll take up to 10 pounds, right?
Yeah,
Correct?
you get like a little paint bucket and you fill it up.
And then you ship it back. And the shipping included in the
correct,
10.
Yeah.
In the 10. Man.
But you try to do the right thing for the environment, and it's going to get expensive.
Yep.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. So, all right. So just so you guys know, it is illegal to not recycle your batteries. Period. We're going to move on.
It's a good thing you told me because I have a trunk full of batteries I was going to do.
And it's good that you're traveling there. It's probably all spread now in the heat of your trunk, right? So
no, we're good.
Battery acid leaking everywhere. That's what we're trying to avoid.
All rechargeable. Going to Best Buy. We're good.
Yeah. That's good. Okay. Yeah, right.
Well, I promise when my Prius battery runs out, I will not throw it in the garbage.
Appreciate
and you
that.
won't be able to go to Staples either.
Well,
no.
There's a recent National Geographic, and it has a big article about how bad plastics are for our planet, and it just makes me just re-up my consciousness.
Isn't it illegal to serve straws right now?
They're talking about it.
They're talking about it.
No, I believe they changed it where you have to actually physically ask for it. Now.
That's what I mean.
Right.
Okay. In Israel they serve paper straws. I don't know if it's any better.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But only paper straws.
Huh.
Some things in Israel fascinate me how advanced they are. Something fascinates me how non-advanced they are. Like, Israel is a cyber country, is technologically so advanced. You don't want to hear the stupidest thing. No, even one bathroom in Israel do I find toilet cover seats. I don't know why I'm telling you that. It's the most random thing ever. Can't find it.
Huh.
Everything is so sophisticated. Every garage gate, everything, it's all programmed to your phone. Everything is so sophisticated, but yet the post office is like a third world country. Nobody uses post office because it's so ridiculously slow.
Yeah.
So go figure. Certain things are brilliant. But anyway.
What amazed me about Israel is I stayed on a kibbutz for a year.
Mm-hmm.
They don't tell the chickens, they don't tell the dogs they can't eat chicken bones.
Mm-hmm.
So they feed chicken bones to the dogs and nobody chokes.
That's right. But here you can because everyone knows that you can't feed it to your dog because they're going to choke.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Let me tell you. So my mother and let's say I'm in Tel Aviv, right? Less than 60 miles is the West Bank. And there are a lot of burning fields and a lot of the Air Force went, there's stuff going on. You would think that you'll know this. Think about it. From here to LA, there's a war zone. Do you think anyone feels anything? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You sit there, you go to the beach, life is normal. Absolute normal.
What are you going to do? You have to carry on, right?
Yeah.
Keep calm.
Yeah, it's incredible. But people drive like nuts. Let me tell you, people are crazy driving. So
they need the driverless cars, right? That's why Mobileye out of Israel got paid a bunch of money.
That's right.
For stuff.
All right. So when we're talking about broken system, I want to jump into that for a second. The Senate is looking to fix a broken credit reporting system, right? What does that mean? The greatest concern were brought by the senators was that was the FTC and CFPB. They lack ability to apply penalties to the credit reporting agencies. Okay, and basically they said that more than 5% of credit reports contain errors. I'm not talking about people late or literally 5% contain errors that affects people's scores.
That seems low. I would guess it's even higher.
I think so too, and I was going to get into that. I think this whole system is so heavily lobbied because the next sentence is said when they checked later, 84% of problems that occurred as a result of an error remained on the system for longer period of time. So there's I don't know, the numbers were so misleading there. So basically they're proposing to have penalties that will be able to be applied inflicted upon the credit reporting agency. Right now, the way the system is written, it is almost impossible to sue the credit reporting agencies.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the credit reporting agencies say, hey, you just have to pay this extra fee and we'll make sure it's correct.
That's right.
Yep,
That's right. So a lot of also argument have been going about the use of alternative data that could potentially bring a solution for credit invisible population, right? People that have no credit. So the Congress say, well, how are we going to get those people to have some credit? Because it takes credit to build credit, but if you don't have credit, you can't build credit, so then you don't have credit. So what comes first, the chicken or the egg? But, the truth is, this has been going on for such a long time now. I mean, I've been hearing about that. I've been hearing about people that in medical, for example, with medical debt. Medical debt can come to you at any time, and consumer have no choice but to deal with it, right? So basically, those that can't afford health insurance are at the mercy of the of hospital and taking chances. And they suggested that pushing medical collections until you have a solution, to find other solution when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to affordable healthcare options. But, they've been talking about it. They've been saying that, for example, as of past September, they wouldn't be able to report a debt as a result of a medical collection for 180 days because they want to give you the opportunity to resolve that first. And if you haven't resolved it, then it will pop on your credit. But people are saying, we haven't seen that happen. We haven't seen that happen. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's such a heavy lobbied area when the credit reporting agencies are so big. And I'm not talking bad against them. I'm just saying I've been hearing talks about it all the time. Now, you guys are out in the field.
Yep.
What do you find?
Yeah, I see that. There's errors. I had a medical thing from a surgery I had on my credit report for 5 years for $2,000 saying I owed them. And it took me over a year of calls and callbacks.
That was before you knew me, right?
Before they finally agreed, oh, yeah, you did pay that. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
And then they cleared it up.
Crazy. Now you go buy a house, right? And you have a collection. All of a sudden, you go, you look for a house, you love a house. I mean, obviously, you won't show anyone a house before the prequel.
Right. Of course not.
Right? But then you go and said, okay, Randy, take me through, show me a house. But then you go pull the credit because you tried to prequel, and now you have those collections. You have no idea what they are.
It happens all the time, and oftentimes it's the small things. It's a small little debt that somebody didn't even know they had, $78, $780, something like that.
Parking ticket.
Something like that totally makes their FICO, tank. And that's definitely something that we have to be mindful of.
Yeah. Yeah, and what's amazing is people say, but how could it be? It's only $36.
Right.
Doesn't make a difference. Makes no difference whatsoever whether it's $36 or it's $36,000.
That's derogatory is derogatory.
Yeah. So it is crazy, and we've seen a lot of that in tickets, parking tickets that pop on your credit, and it's a killer. It's a killer. Lucky, I don't know if you call it lucky, that they only report on one bureau. So if you're going to buy a house and you have a parking ticket and it's only reported on Experian, they take the middle score.
Take the other two.
Right? Mm-hmm. But being that Experian and TransUnion are the dominant agencies when it comes to reporting in Southern California, so you count on those two to maybe be your highest score. But again, it's your guess is as good as mine. It is just, I found that after 20 years being in the industry, it is so difficult, and it gets more and more complicated, even though people think that things are being changed and to help them. I don't find it getting any better.
And I just from my perspective as a real estate broker, I wouldn't think, oh, I just got a parking ticket, I need to be really mindful of this immediately, otherwise it's going to affect my credit. Of course, I don't want to have problems with the government or anything like that, but I wouldn't think that that's going to stop me from buying that dream home because it's a $63 parking ticket. That's right. But like you were saying, it doesn't matter if it's $63,000 or $63, it's going to adversely affect your credit, and you have to be super mindful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I wonder what's happening now that the IRS has formed out collections for delinquent taxpayers to 3 different agencies, to private collection agencies. Is that going to start showing up on credit reports?
It's a good question. I wanted to bring it up because I don't know how long, but obviously when you have a lien, right? Mm-hmm. The problem is it comes right on your taxes. Not only it comes on your taxes, but it comes in the public records section. Yep. Now, you're not getting a house. You're not getting a house with a public record, with a lien. Mm-hmm. Reason is because it's an open liability, right? No one's going to give you a mortgage thinking that then the IRS or FTB, Franchise Tax Board in that case, would lien your house, and the bank is afraid to give that to give you a mortgage for that. Unlike maybe some collections, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Can't you have few collections? If your credit score is where it is, if it's collections under a certain amount, you can still get a house. Am I correct?
Mortgage lenders will kind of ignore some up to a certain amount, or if it's a certain age. I remember doing underwriting for loans that, like, if it was $2,000 or less, or if it was more than 2 years old, they'll ignore some stuff like that.
Right, but it's not the same. Even if you have a tax lien for $10, they're not ignoring that.
Yeah.
Right.
You'll have to clear that.
Yep. That's right. You have to clear that. And it is, and I think we've had that discussion, Reuven, when it comes to the FTB. IRS, okay, maybe I'm not saying reasonable or not reasonable, but the FTB are known to really assess you on what they think you should be making if you haven't filed your taxes. Am I correct?
Both of them will.
Both of them will.
So the IRS, if you haven't filed a tax return, will take the information that's been reported to them on the W-2s, 1099s, etc., and figure out a tax return without any deductions. The Franchise Tax Board, on the other hand, since they don't get that information, I've seen situations where they say, "Oh, you're an attorney, you should be making $200,000. Here's your thing, and please file a tax return." And if you don't file a tax return, well, too bad, you now have it. And then even if you get it off, I think it's a $250 penalty for not responding to the IRS notice.
And here's the kicker. So let's say you didn't file, you had a bad year, you couldn't, whatever it is, doesn't matter when you made no money or not. If the FTB or the IRS liened you, right, because of what they think, and you fix that, it's still on your credit for. Mm-hmm. It's still on your credit for another 7 years before it goes off. So it kills your score regardless whether you had it or not. So very important to know. I really wanted to get into talk a little bit about more purchases out of states and blockchains, but I think we're gonna have to do it after the break. All right. So when we come back, I definitely want to talk about where your market is going in Santa Clarita versus San Diego. We'll start with that when we come back, and then we're going to jump into finish up with Bitcoins and purchases out of state, because I promised people we're going to tell them. So it's always we run short of time. I can't believe that. So Eran Sinai here. We'll be back with you with Reuven, Rubinson, Hanish Political, and Randy Plaice. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
143 million Americans had their information exposed in the credit bureau Equifax data breach. Your personal information is out there waiting to be hijacked. Identity theft not only damages your credit, but can cost you your reputation thousands of dollars and take you years to resolve. Don't be vulnerable. ID Cyber Center monitors your credit, social security number, even your social media. If your identity is stolen, ID Cyber Center helps you recover your identity so you can live life with ease. In today's world, being without identity protection and recovery is as if you are driving without auto insurance. Visit idcybercenter.com today to learn more. Again, visit idcybercenter.com. Get protected.
Hi, I'm Eran Sinai. Stay tuned at 5 p.m. for the latest in finance, credit, and consumer protection, turning the news into common sense. Tune in to my new show, Common Sense with Eran Sinai, today at 5 p.m. on ESPN 1700.
Iliu has struggled with addiction. There was a time that he smoked marijuana 24/7. The worst effect that pot had on him was making him severely unproductive. He started forgetting things, not just the things he had to do. Sometimes he'd forget the words he planned to say. Drug consumption is not a game. Don't start down this path. If you're struggling with drugs or alcohol, get help by calling 800-911-2000 or visit gob.mx/salud/conadis. Secretary of Health.
Summertime is for pool parties, barbecues, and saving lives. Make a splash this summer and save a life by donating blood at the San Diego Blood Bank. In less than an hour of your time, you could save as many as 3 lives. With regular blood donors traveling on vacation, our local hospitals are facing a critical blood shortage and need your help. Visit one of their air-conditioned centers or nearby mobile drives to donate today. Find a location near you at sandiegobloodbank.org.
The Supreme Court protects your rights. That's why it established criteria that benefits Mexican citizens in matters of education, gender equality, alimony, health, children's well-being, and human rights, along with many others. Find out more about it at the Federal Judiciary Weekly, supremacorte.gob.mx. Your rights are protected by the Constitution, and the Constitution by them. Supreme Justice Court of the Nation, safeguarding your rights.
Your news is now available in your area. Log into yournews.com to see all the breaking local, national, and international news brought to one place. Yournews.com.
Everyone knows you deserve an easier path. That's why, with the new reforms, together, they'll work to put an end to the labor discrimination toward women. If you feel discriminated against, report it. House of Representatives. For Mexico. 63rd Legislature.
Welcome back. New sensation. So, In Excess, I don't know if you remember this group from 1988. So today, in 1988, there were some new song coming on the top 10 in what otherwise was a very horrible summer for music. So, believe it or not. So In Excess had another smash from their great album, Kick, and that was New Sensation. And the song, lyrically, the song is about the different stages in our lives and how we deal with them. The different new sensations, and like the singer Michael will help us through, giving us guidance along the way. So when I thought about that song, I thought, well, that's important. You go through different stages in your life. You buy a house, you have a realtor, you go through your life. I know with my son, who's since he's 18, Reuven has been helping him file his taxes, and he does it independently. So, there's all those things in life that you need guidance. And you go through stages. So couldn't think of a better fit for what we're talking about. And talking about that is the market. So how is the market in Santa Clarita, which is north of LA, northeast a little bit, correct?
Yeah.
Doing versus San Diego, and with some things that Hanish is going to repeat that's been happening in San Diego.
Sure. The market's really interesting. You know, we're in the third quarter, obviously, and historically, this is our strongest quarter. This is the quarter that most everybody's making their moves, or they're tying up some loose ends. Maybe they were a little bit slow to the gate to pull the trigger on listing or buying a home, and it's slowed a little bit. There is still the inventory issue in terms of shortage, but just in general, there really hasn't been a whole heck of a lot of activity in general. We've seen a lot of price adjustments. We've seen a lot of people come to the market with their properties several months ago in Q2, and they were ambitious with their price, and now it's burning them. There's a lot of adjustments down. So we're seeing a lot of that happening. There's also a lot more expired listings for the same reason. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of there's a lot of listings that just aren't getting sold in the time frame that they were before. I think a lot of it's because of that artificial inflation of price, that artificial anticipation of what they think they're going to be getting ultimately is burning them. So now that's bringing it down a little bit. And I think in time, over the next maybe month or month and a half, more of these people are going to realize, okay, the price has been adjusted down, so the comps are going to reflect that. So because of that, I think that we're going to see a nice, solid Q4 that's going to offset this a little bit.
Do you agree?
I don't know how it's going to pan out month to month. I just know that it has slowed down a little bit, and I see that the inventory is staying on the market a little longer. They're not getting multiple offers on nice houses like we were just 2 months ago. And there's a couple of factors I think that's affecting that. The biggest one is probably Keep Your Home California, which was California's version of the federal government's hardest hit fund. So after the recession, the government put out billions of dollars and said, save people's houses, and this is part of the penalty that was imposed on all the lenders. So they used that money to help reinstate mortgages, pay for unemployment gaps in coverage when people were unemployed, reduce principal, et cetera, et cetera. They'd spent over nearly $2 billion in California alone, saving 82,000 homeowners from foreclosure. So that stopped
that's a big number.
That stopped a lot of foreclosures. If you check their website, they say they have a really good success rate. I've heard other anecdotal evidence saying those same people that we gave $50,000 to reinstate got foreclosed 9 months later anyways. Right? So there's a lot of that happening where it just kind of delayed the inevitable.
So do you see increases in number of foreclosures?
So last month, June 29th, they stopped taking applications because all the money is dried up. So there's no more new applications for Keep Your Home California. There's no more money to save people's homes anymore, to the tune of 82,000 homes. I tracked the foreclosures, and in the past year, there was only about 300 foreclosed homes in San Diego that actually went through auction, either went to the bank or to a third-party investor. That's a little less than 30 a month. In the last month alone, there was about 65 of them.
Wow.
And that's the rolling number. So
that's
it's more than doubled. It's more than doubled in the last 30 days. And it's rolling, and it's predicted to continue to keep kind of escalating as there's less options of government bailouts for individual homeowners.
That's a little,
And would you say that based on that, because it's going to be driving prices down, just because of the nature of foreclosures and the price that it commands, that might ultimately speed up the market, because it's possible that pricing is going to be more favorable on the buying side of things, as long as interest rates remain where they are?
Yeah, that's the plan. I would think there'd be a little bit more velocity in terms of more transactions happening, but you're also getting rid of, as my old boss would say, people have crapped it out the back end. Finally, this is the stuff that's not performing and is tearing down your neighborhood anyways, because you could probably bet it's not a better maintained house either.
Sure. But when you say then people maybe will start realizing that, okay, rather than sit on my house, let me sell it and try to get out of it.
Yeah, ideally. Call up me or Randy and let's get rid of your house right now. It's top of the market.
Yes,
do it. It probably
All right,
is.
so numbers. Okay, if you're in Santa Clarita, LA area listening to us, you can call Randy. Randy, where can they reach you?
They can reach me direct at 818-294-0414.
818-294-0414.
That's correct.
Right, and that's Randy Plaice if you're in the LA or Santa Clarita area. And if you're here in San Diego?
Yeah,
Hanish?
It's Hanish, and it's at 858-380-8765.
380-8765, and that's in 858 area code.
858, yep, right here.
And if you need an accountant, and we're going to jump talking about spending, there isn't, there are a lot of accountants. I just got used to work with Reuven. What can I tell you? And he's my guy when it comes to do that. Reuven is also CFO for hire. So Reuven does a lot of work for corporations as their CFO and helps them throughout. Just finish a long contract with a big company, 15 months, I believe. You're helping them get themselves together. What's a good number that people can reach you, by the way?
858-344-0864.
Okay, and again, Rubinson, 858-344-0864. And he can definitely help you with your taxes, whether you're a small business owner, big business owner, or just an individual that needs someone to help file your taxes. And let me tell you, he's more than reasonable. I know people say, well, I get ripped off by my accountant. That would not be the person to go to if that's what you're looking for.
Sure.
So that's Reuven. So talking about spending, can you help everyone understand why does anyone care where I purchase my stuff, whether it's in-state, out-of-state? Why is it important? Let's start with that.
Well, I think what you're alluding to is the whole issue of sales tax.
Correct.
So a lot of people have been buying out-of-state large purchases, and they're choosing the out-of-state vendor because they don't pay sales tax. So they avoid the sales tax, and it saves them a lot of money. Well, California about 2 or 3 years ago 10 years ago, they put in a question about sales tax, and you were supposed to fill in a line on the tax return that says, how much sales tax you owe because you bought it out of state. Mm-hmm. That wasn't effective. So about 2 or 3 years ago, they put an affirmative question where you have to actually check the box and say, I had no out-of-state purchases. And if you check that box and you did, technically, you're committing fraud.
That's correct.
So basically now it's, as the CPA, I've included a statement, on my, when I send out to my clients, I did not make any out-of-state purchases. I made out-of-state purchases and I collected and I paid sales tax on all of them, or I didn't, and please use the safe harbor, or here's a number. So you have to go through that situation. However, there was a recent Supreme Court ruling called the Wayfair, which basically has expanded the ability for states to collect sales tax from out-of-state vendors. Mm-hmm. So it used to be if you had a warehouse or salespeople, what they call a nexus in a given state, you had to pay sales tax. But if you never came into the state, then you didn't. Well, now that's all changing, and we're going to have to look and see. There's some exemptions for small businesses, but it's going to be, somewhat of a nightmare because, how much sales tax do you charge? In California, you can't go by state. You can't go by street. Mm-hmm. You can somewhat go by street, but you can't go by city. You can't go by zip code. You can have one person on opposite sides of the street that actually have different things. So it's really a house by house calculation if you're going to do it right. So it's going to be interesting to see how they roll that out.
What about Bitcoins? Tell us what's happening. What do we need to know?
Bitcoin is going to create a nightmare when you do your tax return because Bitcoin is like stock. So every time you purchase Bitcoin, you have to track how much you paid for it. So let's say you buy some Bitcoin and you pay $100 for the Bitcoin. Now you purchase something and the Bitcoin's gone up to $200, so you use half of it to pay a $100 purchase. Mm-hmm. Well, now you got a $50 gain on the Bitcoin that you originally purchased that you have to report immediately, and then the new item starts at $100. So it's a reporting nightmare. If you know anything about stock, you buy a stock at a certain price, the cost basis. When you sell it, you have your proceeds, and the difference is capital gain or loss.
So it's not handled in property in California. It's not.
What's that?
It's not handled as property here. Meaning, when you buy
Bitcoin is like property.
I mean, yes, it's like property, meaning you have to, like stock. You buy it, you have to immediately.
As soon as you sell it, you have to record gain or loss based on the difference between what you paid and what you got with the value you got when you sold it.
Got it. All right. Again, if you need any questions like that to Reuven, 858-344-0864. So before we go anywhere, I want to make sure I thank you guys properly for coming on the show. Thank you. It's time flew by, and it's before we know it, it's time to go home, kind of a thing. After traveling and being away with my son, and first of all, I want to thank you, Hanish, for sitting in and doing such a great job for a few weeks for me. It was really awesome to watch you guys from overseas and see how great you're doing. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Today, in 1981, Harry Chapin died in a car accident, crash on the Long Island Expressway in New York. The song that you're hearing. And reflecting, traveling with my son, the song basically over time, both father and son grow into switching of life roles, right? The father realizes that he, becomes the son and vice versa. So I want to leave you guys with a thing of family. Think about your family. Think about your kids. This is really grandkids, in your case, Reuven. It's really precious. Before you know it, my son is going to be 21. It was an amazing bonding experience I had traveling with him for about 10 days. It was unbelievable. So I want to leave you with that, and I get choked up with it. So I want to leave you with really think about your families, kids, and spend as much time as you can. Work is not everything. Just remember that. And with that, I want to thank you, Reuven. I want to thank you, Randy, from driving all the way, and Hanish, as usual, thank you, and extra thank you for all the time you spent keeping my seat warm.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Have a good night, and good night, Jessica. We enjoyed having you around us. So have a great night, everyone. See you next week. Ciao.